Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 15th Alta Labs live stream. My name is Chase Harrison. I'm the CEO of Alta Labs, and today I'm joined with our CTO, Jeff Hansen, and Tyler Nesper, RoamingIQ's CEO. Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited about today. If you've been watching any of our socials or any of our newsletters, if you do anything in the MDU space, whether it's apartments, condos, you will want to tune in. Pay attention to this entire presentation today, as we will be able to hear how RoamingIQ is really making managed Wi-Fi in those particular verticals very easy and very lucrative. And so we'll be spending quite a bit more time with Tyler on that. We'll be diving into that. Make sure you invite your friends, your family, your business partners. If you're doing MDU stuff, you're definitely not going to want to miss this. Before we dive in, as per usual, we have a couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, this is a live stream, so please forgive us if there's any weird bugs. Every now and then, Instagram will act up, for example, or LinkedIn. But know that we do record this and we do push this out to all of our social platforms. So if you miss it, get cut off, have to go to a job, take a customer call, whatever, you can always come back and watch this at a later date. Also, if this is your very first Alta Labs live event and you'd like to go look at the 14 previous versions, you can go back and take a look at those. We also will be doing a live Q&A at the very end of this. So if you can stay with us the entire time, if you have any questions that pop up as you see or hear from both Jeff and Tyler, go ahead and submit your questions through whatever platform you're tuning in, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and those will aggregate right up into our StreamYard platform here, and we will get those questions answered at the very end. If for whatever reason we miss a question, it's not intentional, or if you think of something after the live stream that you want to ask our team, please email sales@alta.inc. Both for either Tyler or Alta. We can route those questions to Tyler, and then we'll obviously share some contact information for Tyler and his sales team that you can leverage if you're interested in working with RoamingIQ here in just a little bit. We have a couple of announcements we'd like to share. First and foremost, our Installer of the Month for December. We'd like to congratulate New Tech AV out of Atlanta, Georgia, for being Alta Labs Installer of the Month here in December. We will be in touch, New Tech team, with your award and some shirts. If any of you are interested, as always, in how to participate in the Install of the Month program, please email sales@alta.inc. What we look for generally is we look for those that are regularly installing Alta Labs, supporting Alta Labs, active in social, sharing their stories on the forum, active engaged in the forum, et cetera, et cetera. So also, I'm going to ask Rob and Landon from my team to share a link to this in our on all the platforms right now. But last month we announced our Alta Gives Back program, and I wanted to draw special attention to that again now. If you know of an organization in need of a network upgrade, perhaps they're financially constrained, or whatever the need may be, whether it's an access point or a couple of APs, a router, or a switch, we want to know about it. We want to be able to give back through our sister, basically the donor advised fund, that we can step in and help pay for these network upgrades. So you can follow that link and learn more about it. We take applications. Right now, we're only focused on US-based opportunities because of how things are set up, but we want to, as we get into next year, open that up into the international realm as well. So please take a look at that. If you know of an organization need, please share that. We will definitely take a look and see how we can participate. Since the announcement, we've actually gotten a few applications, and we're actively reaching out to those, trying to engage the best we can. And you'll see more in the media about that in the coming months. So also, if you are a pro AV, custom audio, home automation, even small to medium-sized commercial integrator or installer, you would love to hear this. Alta Labs in the last couple of weeks has formalized a partnership with a buying group called ProSource. That has been officially announced and is being pushed out formally in all appropriate channels. If you are a member of ProSource, obviously talk to your ProSource rep or email sales@alta.inc, and we can talk to you a little bit more about that. And then our event schedule. We're done here at the end of the year for traveling, but we're going to pick things right back up here in the first quarter of next year. Right out of the gate, we'll be down at CES, a few members of our team. We won't have a booth, but myself, Jeff, a couple members of our sales team will be down there. And if you are going to be in Las Vegas and would like to try and meet up, please email sales@alta.inc, and we will do our best to accommodate schedules. Also, in February 3rd through the 2nd, if you are in Barcelona or planning to be in Barcelona, we'll be attending Integrated Systems Europe. It's a great show, no matter the industry vertical that you focus on. It is great for networking, literally networking, both on the networking LAN and WAN side, as well as networking for other businesses, right? But then also is great for a number of other industry verticals. So we'll have a booth there. We'll have all the latest Alta Labs product. We'd love to have you come out and visit us. And then February 17th to the 19th, shout out to Keith Parsons and his team. Will be down in Phoenix attending WLPC. We're excited for that. Again, it's February 17th to 19th. So if you don't know what that is, we'd highly recommend you take a look at that and see if you can make it down to Phoenix. And then finally, if you are a member ProSource or are planning on attending or joining ProSource, March 8th through the 11th, Alta Labs will be attending their ProSource All-In Summit in Tennessee. And then finally, we're back to our normal giveaway cadence. If you are attending live today and you are interested in participating in our giveaway, email your first and last name to social@alta.inc. We'll be giving away a 16-port switch, t-shirt, and a hat. So obviously trying to drive as much attendance to this and also provide some incentive rewards to hang out to the very end. We do need you to be on the live stream in order to qualify. So that is it for the housekeeping items. Sorry, that was a very long list, but I would like to turn it over to Jeff. We actually, as per usual in Alta Labs fashion, we have some new features that we've recently introduced to the platform. And I'd love to have Jeff go ahead and walk us through those.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jason. Before I get started, I got to give props to my brother-in-law for getting me this sweater. he discovered this years ago, and it's my favorite sweater.
Mario on your sweater.
Oh yeah, I'm all Christmased out. So
there we go.
All right, so let's get started with some features from the last month. So we launched this I guess it was a week ago. Ever since we implemented Alta Pass, it's very easy to add all sorts of different passwords. But it's not really easy to know which device is using what password, right? So we've had several feature requests come in where people wanted to know what password each device was actually using. And so we actually added support for that. You can find it. It's not enabled by default, but you can come to the Devices tab and enable password and voucher. I'm going to not show the wired devices just because there's a lot of those, and we only want to see wireless. And by default, you'll see that it shows index 0 or index 4. So if you have a list of passwords, that'll be the index number of the password. We don't show the password by default just because if somebody's watching, you don't want somebody to get their camera out and take a snapshot or something like that. If you want to actually show the passwords, all you do is check this box and it'll show the raw password. It does show the actual voucher in here by default, since those are a little bit more transient. Not as important if somebody picks up on that. So it will just show those by default. You don't have to check that other box. So that's one really cool feature that we're excited about. Next one I want to talk about is with our switches. And so this one, there are some interesting cameras that if you and NVR systems where the communication is very unidirectional, right? The camera is just, it'll ARP its NVR periodically when it's sending traffic, but the NVR never has a reason to send traffic the other way. In those cases, you don't get your IP address populated on your list of devices here. And so in those cases, we added this option. Now, I don't recommend it for like larger sites, but you can enable it for, relatively small sites because it does add a little bit of CPU load. But it's right here under System Advanced Settings. So you can use ARP requests. Normally, it'll just use the responses. This will also use the requests as well to key and to learn those IP addresses from devices on your network. So that's where you find that. And then lastly, we added an option to Route 10 VPNs. So if you've used the IPsec tunnel, you just create a client or a site-to-site VPN configuration. You come in here and you create an IPsec config. We added the ability to set your tunnel IP address. So if you for filtering or for whatever reason need like a static IP and that's configured on the client side, this side, you can put that in right there. And so that's just another thing that we've gotten several feature requests for that, and wanted to make sure everybody knew that is now available. I will also go through how to configure RoamingIQ a little bit. Once we start talking with Tyler, we've got a guide already, and we're excited about that feature as well, which is relatively new. So yeah, that's about it for new features from me.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. All right. Well, 2 more quick plugs before we jump into your conversation with Tyler. Number one, if you're just joining us, we are holding a giveaway. Go ahead and email your first and last name to social@alta.inc, and you'll be eligible to win a t-shirt, hat, or 16-port switch. Next, as you have questions about what Jeff just covered or what we're about ready to discuss with Tyler, please please submit those through whatever platform you are watching in, including StreamYard. So those will all aggregate up here, and we'll go ahead and get those answered on a first come, first served basis. But yes, Tyler, thank you again for your time. Thank you for hanging out for the first 10 minutes of us getting through all that we need to get through. But we would love to hear from you, a little bit about you, where you come from. How did you find RoamingIQ? What do you like to do for fun? We'd love to have our user community get to know you a little better and RoamingIQ.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Thanks for having me. I get really excited seeing you guys talk about Wi-Fi passwords, because that'll make a lot of sense here in a little bit. So, gosh, all right. So where did I come from? So, what do I do for fun? I guess what I do for fun is I play video games and I climb mountains. Two pretty disparate hobbies. So when my legs get stiff from playing too many video games, sitting here at this desk, I'm here and I work all day, and then the gaming PC gets booted up in the evenings.
Are we talking like rock climbing? Like, are you hiking trails, or are you rock climbing?
I do all of it. So I backcountry ski, I climb glaciers. I spent 3 weeks or a little over 2 weeks on Denali at the beginning of this year. A couple years ago, I spent a month in Bhutan in the Himalayas.
Wow.
I do rock climb. I ice climb, where you climb walls of ice with axes in your hand. I do everything related to the mountains. I ski, I snowboard, and then sometimes I just do regular hikes as well.
There we go.
So I try to get out in the mountains a lot.
That's
cool.
Cool.
I live in Colorado, and so I'm fortunate enough to have access to a whole bunch of stuff. But I also travel to the Pacific Northwest for climbing. They have a lot of glaciers out there, and then done some international trips as well,
That's
as
cool.
I mentioned. So on the personal side, that's pretty much it. I'm either working here playing video games or climbing mountains,
Awesome.
and doing that type of thing. I'm in Denver, so. And then on the work side of things, so RoamingIQ. So my history there is I used to work for a service provider, and I was responsible for building a managed Wi-Fi product for multifamily. So I have a product management background, in addition to a couple other things I've done, a couple different careers, but that's a whole different story. So I was responsible for building a managed Wi-Fi product for multifamily communities. I built that product, and at the time, I wasn't happy with a lot of the software solutions that are out there or were out there. Specifically, the software solutions for how you get people onto networks. So I won't name any names. For those of you who know them, you know them. But basically, there was especially one company that was really dominant in the industry, and they were. Service providers were using their experience, but their experience was what you see in hotels, right? Which I will say is probably an experience that none of us like, right? It's typically either a code written on your room key sleeve, right? Or maybe you click through the captive portal and it's last name, room number, right? And so you had that experience in multifamily communities, and that's what everybody was using at the time. And I'm talking at this point, 7-8 years ago. So not a long time ago, but a while ago. For the more technical folks on the call, it was all 802.1x MAC-based authentication. So that was what was used in multifamily, and it was a horrible experience. Customer experiences in that, like I said, nobody likes the hotel experience, but we were forcing people through that in the apartment communities. Myself as well, with the managed Wi-Fi product that we had, which meant With IoT devices or any sort of browserless device, you had to register a MAC address. So I was really frustrated with this experience, and I worked with a couple of companies to help make a better experience, and we had kind of mixed results. So I wound up working with some entrepreneurs that owned another service provider at the time. We patented a solution behind RoamingIQ's technology, which I could talk about in a little bit, and then we founded RoamingIQ. Well, more specifically, they founded RoamingIQ. I kind of helped with some of the product stuff on the side, and then about a year into it, I came on board as the CEO. So I've been around from the beginning with the technology. But that's sort of the origin. So I always like to say that's my like superhero villain origin story. Is I was really frustrated with other experiences, right? Which is typically how you wind up becoming the villain. Although hopefully we're the hero here.
Yep.
Everybody knows how to get their MAC address, right?
Yeah, exactly. Number one support phone call any service provider sees, right? Is that right there of how do I register this device? What is a MAC address? This is number one support phone.
Where do I find my MAC address? Yeah.
And the MAC randomization made it worse, where even if you found it, now it's different, right? So even if you know where to find it.
Yeah, we're going to change it on you every now and then.
Yeah. So that's a bit of the background of how RoamingIQ came to be. So.
Got it. Well, so and again, if you're just tuning in, right, we're talking about RoamingIQ and how how it's basically revolutionizing, right, the MDU space. And so if you're actively involved in any way, shape, or form, whether you're an investor or if you're actually deploying Wi-Fi in MDU space, this is a conversation for you. So Tyler, you mentioned you kind of took the hospitality mindset or you were seeing that taken and kind of force fed into the MDU space. As we dive into RoamingIQ, one of the questions I had right out of the gate is RoamingIQ a good fit for hospitality? Or as we look at this, should we be looking at it through the lens of apartments, condos, high density, lower density, just multifamily homes, or what's a good project for roaming?
Yeah, that's a good question. So RoamingIQ is definitely a fit for all of the above. So I'll answer that by talking a little bit about that core technology behind our platform. So what we developed was multi-PSK, or PPSK is another term that gets used. We call it GPSK. Everybody's got an acronym. You got to throw it in front of the word PSK. So I'll just use multi-PSK. We are multi-PSK on steroids. So there's a lot of multi-PSK systems out there. What I'm specifically referring to with multi-PSK is the ability to have a single SSID or network name, and then have multiple Wi-Fi passwords work against that SSID, right? So there's a lot of solutions out there. Home consumer systems usually will let you do maybe 2 Wi-Fi passwords, right? And then you get all the way up to enterprise equipment where you can do a couple hundred, maybe a few thousand. RoamingIQ supports billions of Wi-Fi passwords. So that is our the core of our solution, is the ability to have this pool of Wi-Fi passwords and have any network that's pointed at that pool authenticate a user onto that network. So that's the core of our technology, is at scale, is the ability to do that at scale. So what does that mean for kind of these different verticals, right? The world that we want to build, and I say when we achieve world domination, is every Wi-Fi network in the world will be pointed at our cloud, and therefore your Wi-Fi password will work at every network in the world. So sorry, I'm reading the chat and I'm seeing Keith's comments in here.
It's great.
Yes.
Great comments.
Billions of Wi-Fi. There you go, Keith. So I need to turn the chat off if Keith's going to be like trolling me in here while we're going. So folks I don't know if folks on YouTube will, after the fact, will be able to see that. They're going to have no context. But anyways, where was I? So you have this single pool, and so when we achieve that world domination where you can move around, it's that roaming experience where the Wi-Fi password belongs to the user and not the network is the world we want to see. So what does that mean for these different verticals, right? Well, for hospitality, it solves a number of problems that you have in hospitality. The biggest one being the networks are all unsecured and vulnerable, and nobody wants to admit it, right? Every hotel network is unsecured. We have to make sure we separate that the the captive portal where you put in a username and password is not controlling security. It's just controlling who has access, right? Which doesn't necessarily make it more secure. If a bad actor wants to get on the network, all they have to do is book a hotel reservation. That's not a very big barrier if you're wanting to do something, right? And then let alone, man in the middle attacks and evil twin and things like that, right? So it's kind of a ticking time bomb with hospitality. We kind of look at it like the credit card hacks that we see at all those brands, right? Well, Target had one, and Home Depot. I'm sure we've all been victim to one of them. We're kind of sitting here just waiting for the day when one of the major brands says somebody came into our network and stole, all this information off of our guests because our network was unsecure. So it solves that problem. It allows you to secure the network, but still give you unique credentials to every guest. And then that also comes with that roaming experience, right? Where they can move from hotel to hotel and have that connectivity, right? So definitely a good fit for hospitality with that core underlying technology. And you think about that experience, that fits a whole lot of verticals, right? We think about public space of the, coffee shops or retail or all of these other verticals. So why do we have such an MDU focus? And the simple answer to that is, as a startup that began about 5 years ago, that was where we chose to focus our initial efforts and our initial energy as a business, right? Was to build the business up with a very solid multifamily product that comes with a full user interface in order to manage user access, add users to the network, remove users from the network, let residents manage their own account, process payments, right? If a user wants to upgrade their service. So we have this portal that's very MDU focused that does all of that. But then that core technology of every user having a unique Wi-Fi password and letting them roam from network to network still exists there. So that's a bit of that core that makes sense where that absolutely fits in other verticals. And then there's the MDU side of things where we have this very purpose-built user interface for all the different layers of management and control to get users on and off the network.
Got it. So that user interface, that's not just like management company facing, right? If you're managing the hospitality property MDU, it sounds like it's also end user facing. Like if I'm renting an apartment, I could interface directly with your platform without an MDU owner having to do much.
Exactly. Yeah. So we could talk a little bit about what that looks like, right? So we've pre-installed Alta Labs equipment throughout the entire property. Right, so we've got the RF is already lit up, and the internet is ready to go when a resident moves in, because of the Alta Labs network that's been installed. And so, what is going to happen is a user is going to move into the property, and it's a different experience, right? A historical experience is they call Comcast, and maybe Comcast sends a technician, maybe they send a kit for a self-installation. Depends on what it is. In our case, they're going to sign up via our user interface. Right. So that resident is going to come to the community that's already got the internet pre-installed, or the network at least pre-installed, and then they're going to interact with our interface to sign up for service. So that means that user can sign up for bulk service, where maybe it's, we're providing the service providers providing 1 gig to the entire community, or maybe it's more of a retail basis, right? Where the residents are signing up and still paying for the service independently, even though the network was already installed. Our system's going to support all that. So that user is going to sign up for service, and then once they're on board, they have their own portal where they can log in and they can manage their account. They can change their Wi-Fi password. They can view the data they've consumed, devices that have connected with some fingerprinting, and basically manage their account the way any of us would with our home network. But it's been done with an enterprise, grade install with an Alta Labs system.
Yeah.
And then, yes, there's other administration layers to that to let the property manager manage access as well. A property manager can choose to add somebody to the network or remove somebody from the network. And then there's that next layer above that, of course, which is the service provider to interact with it, control the policies, make VLAN assignments, things like that. But once that system is up and running, it's all automated. You as a network provider, service provider, or the property, you don't have to interact with it, ever, except for really when you get a support phone call, right? The system's totally self-service, and it's white labeled for the service providers as well, at least that UI piece of it.
Yeah.
For those other verticals, that entire system is available over API. So everything we've talked about today is a totally API-based system as well.
Got it. Yeah, that's incredible. So if there's a retail type environment, right, where an MDU or hospitality or any applications wanting to charge for internet access, do those dollars go directly to RoamingIQ, or does a service provider or the facility owner take a piece of that or get all of it, or how does that work?
Yeah, with a lot of these questions, I love and I hate my answer, because my answer is all of it. It's whatever you want, which some people don't like, right? Some people are like, just tell me how it's supposed to work.
Tell me what to do.
Right, but we've built this platform to be really flexible, because no two service providers do things the same. So the answer to that question is any one of them. Ultimately, we have an integration with Stripe to handle payment processing. And so it's as simple as just designating which Stripe account the money is going to. So that certainly can be into our Stripe account, and then we can, pay that money out. That can be into the service provider Stripe account, or it can be into the property. And then of course there's also, future integrations we can do with other services for that as well. So today it's all via Stripe, and it all goes directly to the service. I think with all of our customers today, it goes directly to them as the service provider. Definitely the preferred model, I think, for all parties involved, but the system is designed to be flexible. We even have some customers who they actually handle the payment processing, but then they use our API system in order to, trigger all the various activities. Somebody upgrades their service via their payment system, they reach out to our API and notify us of that, and then we reach out to the network and we appropriately upgrade the user's service because of that. So there's a lot of flexibility into it. You can definitely have the off the shelf, here's how it works. You can deploy a site tomorrow, or you can sit and stick a developer to do an API integration, and we'll work with them for a couple of months to build that out. So total ends of the spectrum.
That's really cool. That's that customizable. What about the international reach as far as payments and so on? I mean, if you're doing an apartment in Canada or Spain, for example, I mean, is there any restrictions there, or US only?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So every country is obviously a little bit different. We're from a non-payment standpoint, so from like a bulk perspective, the system is fully operational everywhere. It's in AWS. So like everything else, it works everywhere because of that. And we can also install it in other regions, if there's some sort of local laws or regulations that necessitate not running it out of the United States. So it's available everywhere. From that bulk side of things. From the retail side of things, we add support as those countries come up. So today we have support for a customer in Canada, like you mentioned. We have support for the UK, and we have support for, we're about 75% of the way, 50% of the way through support for Australia. So from a currency perspective, it's really, honestly, to get a little nerdy with it, it's mostly just making sure we support the currency and the symbols in our code, to process that payment. It's pretty simple to do it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's exciting too. Plenty of opportunities internationally, it sounds like.
Yep.
So Jeff and Ty, I'm going to put you both probably on the spot a little bit. So obviously for those that are listening in are familiar with Alta Labs, Alta Pass, which we kind of use similar terminology. It's, PPSK on steroids, and we do some things that other PPSK providers can and can't do, right? Some of them are patented. I mean, what, Jeff, from your perspective, and Tyler, I'd love to hear that too, is where's the handoff there, right? Why would somebody choose RoamingIQ over an Alta Pass? This is a little bit of a softball question. I think I know a lot of the answers there, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Why would a user choose Alta Pass over RoamingIQ and vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I can go first, and this is definitely a question that I was hoping that Tyler would answer. Just what differentiates RoamingIQ from other technologies like Alta Pass? Obviously, with Alta Pass, it's extremely easy to add a whole bunch of passwords all at once in bulk. We have Alta specific features like bypassing the filter, bypassing the schedule, different things like that. And I do think, with radius attributes added, there's a potential for leveraging that, even in a RoamingIQ network as well, if there was some extra payload there. So I know that's it. I would say it's probably for maybe a smaller scale in general, more manageable. You can use an API if you go to hundreds or thousands of passwords, and that works great. But there is a little more hand-holding, of course. Usually the management or an operator has to get involved with every single password that gets added to the system. And so, yeah, Tyler, what else differentiates you? What sets you apart?
I think you touched on it. Dynamism and scale, right? So the Alta Labs Alta Pass is a good system where we want to assign. I'll make up a number. I know it does more than that, but 4 SSIDs, right? We're going to have, or 4 PSKs, excuse me. We're going to have, the restaurant with the staff and customers, and that's only 2. I can't come up with 2 more, but you guys get the point.
Yeah.
So, and they're static, right? That PSK is not necessarily changing on a frequent basis because an admin's got to go in and make that change, right? Whereas the RoamingIQ system is going to be, so first there's that scale, right? Where you can use us for 1 PSK, 2 PSKs, but up to hundreds or thousands of PSKs against a single SSID. So that's going to be thing number 1. Thing number 2 is going to be those PSKs working as the user maybe roams from site to site, right? By having that network pointed at our cloud, and that again goes to the scale, where the ability for them to move from site to site. And then the last thing is, like I said, that dynamic piece, right? Where we've got that interface and those workflows for a user, a resident or a guest at the hotel to log in and create their own Wi-Fi password, or, well, we assign them a default and then they can edit it to be hyper accurate. So for them to kind of edit their own Wi-Fi password and manage their account, right? So the use cases vary, right? I mean, I'm totally honest and transparent here, right? Like if we're talking about a resident, a restaurant, and we're talking about, putting that PSK on there where, the guest, the patrons walk in, and then maybe there's, a placard on the table that says, here's the Wi-Fi password, right? That's a great system to use that type of thing. And maybe RoamingIQ is not the best fit for that. But where it changes is if you're maybe in like a shopping district, or it's the restaurant connected to the hotel, right? And you want to let the user use their Wi-Fi password as they move around, right? That's really where a lot of that comes into play.
Cool. Yeah. And I wanted to get, I want to geek out completely. I just was hoping you could give like a real high level of how your Radius cloud works, how your PPSK or MPSK is different, and how it offloads from a technical standpoint from the APs to your Radius cloud.
I mean, the biggest thing, so a lot of that is the secret sauce behind our patented solution is the scalability of it. So what I will say on that is there's 2 primary reasons that multi-PSK systems have a limitation. Well, really 1, I suppose. A lot of it comes down to the compute power, right? So it's your ability to have, a number of PSKs in a database and authenticate a user fast enough, because our devices, the rule of thumb is you have 2 seconds from the time when the user clicks, connect to that SSID, or the phone automatically attempts to do it if it's a known SSID. The device depends on the device, but gives you roughly 2 seconds to respond with an accept or a reject. Most devices will retry, and that's the user's not necessarily knowing that that's happening. So if it doesn't get that response in 2 seconds, it'll retry, but eventually it just errors out.
Yeah, they'll give up.
So the core of our technology and our secret sauce is the scale, is our ability to have, we obviously have the benefit of cloud compute, but also our kind of proprietary algorithms of the way we've designed the system to be able to authenticate that one device against a pool of millions or billions of Wi-Fi passwords quick enough before the device gives up and then displays an error to the user, right? And unfortunately with the devices, it's not a very helpful error. The devices don't say, sorry, it took too long to try to connect, right? It just says basically incorrect password is pretty much what every device will tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then, I mean, I've just seen some of the questions pop up too about does Alta have a multi-PPSK solution? The nice guy wins, for example. That's a good question. So yes, we do. That's kind of what we're addressing, right? Is there's definitely a time and a place for Alta Labs, Alta Pass, and then RoamingIQ. Obviously, with RoamingIQ, there's a paid model there, right, where you have to pay to deploy it in your ecosystem, but then you get a number of additional tools. Yeah, Stripe integration is a big one, right? If you're collecting payments there, and then scale. So this is maybe another easy question, maybe most understand, but I just want to hit it anyways. So let's just say we've got hypothetically somebody who just adopted Alta Labs, rolling it out to their next MDU location, but they've got 5 others they just deployed with another brand, and their budgets won't allow them to upgrade into Alta, for their maybe year or 2 or 3 or however many that is. Yeah. Can roaming overlay all of the various hardwares and kind of be agnostic, right, and still provide that roaming ability no matter the hardware that's deployed?
Yeah, and so that's also a great thing that we like to talk about with our product, right? Is that we allow you to separate the user experience from the equipment that you install, right? So you can have Alta Labs, maybe you've been buying equipment from somebody else, to Chase's point. You've already got a bunch of deployments. You like what you're hearing today. Your go forward plan is Alta Labs, but you don't love the fact that that maybe that means a different experience, because that's a pain. That's pain in the ass for a number of reasons, right? Your support team is a big one, right? We really like having consistency for our support team when they come in, when the phone call comes in, that they kind of know their workflows, right? And so with our system, with everything related to the subscriber side, the access side, our user interface is going to provide you that ability to look and see, okay, does this user have an account? What is their Wi-Fi password they're trying to connect with? Maybe they're complaining about speeds. Well, yeah, we see you're on the, they're saying I'm supposed to get a gig, and we see, well, you're only on the 200 meg plan. So that's why you're not getting a gig, right? And so, yeah, with our platform, either via API or using our user interface, you've kind of got that single view for that. So it will make your adoption, into Alta Labs a lot smoother, and allow you to have that single customer experience, right? We make it so you got to worry about your engineers. Your engineers have to worry about, maybe the different systems, but at least like your tier 1 support team and that customer experience side, then that becomes a uniform experience.
Cool.
Got it.
Yeah, and I wanted to just quickly, I mentioned this earlier, but we can get my screen up there. I wanted to go over the configuration using RoamingIQ with Alta Labs APs. And our goal is that it is the simplest and most straightforward steps possible. So I would think that this guide is actually extremely short and concise compared to other hardware networking vendors. So yeah, yep. You just create the SSID. There's 3 steps, right? Create the SSID, configure advanced features, and configure power user settings. So you have to copy and paste a couple things. The SSID has to be Vault. Use WPA Enterprise as the default setting. Under the hood, it actually uses PSK, right? But when you configure it in the platform, you use EAP. So you set the IP address of the server. You put in RoamingIQ's radius ports for authentication and accounting. If you want the security, is top priority for us. But if you want to be able to isolate yourself, you can even do IoT or guest. Most people are going to do large though. So if you're in an MDU where you have a VLAN that's like where you can roam across a property, you're going to want to do large, and that allows you to talk to other devices on the same network while still maintaining that scalability of thousands of Wi-Fi clients on the network. Turn fast roaming off. You enter your NAS ID. This is copied and pasted from within the RoamingIQ dashboard. That you just copy and paste that secret, and then you enable PSK offloads. That's the only other thing right there for advanced features. And then you set power user settings, and that's just to copy and paste this, replacing these X's with the same radius IP address that you put in earlier, and that's it. Yeah, so we try to make this as easy as possible, and obviously you have to be on a firmware that supports RoamingIQ as well, because that's key. But yeah, super straightforward.
Yeah, and I actually can we grab Santa Ray Klein's question? he says it got answered, but I want to hit on it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
He said he said is anyone using passwords on guest Wi-Fi? Like this is so like near and dear to me too, because So my answer to that question, I don't know everybody's experience, and this is all anecdotes, right? I don't know if any of us have, I don't think Parks Associates has studied this, but I still see passwords all the time. And this is back to like a lot of us who run companies or start companies, they're born out of our own frustrations, right? And
Mhm.
so, we have a white paper actually I wrote in I think 2020. I'd certainly, if any of you like to read white papers, it's I think 8 pages, but there's a lot of images, so it's less. But it's on our website. It's probably one of the first postings on our website. And I talk about the experience of a business traveler, right? Who like they get to the airport and it's connect to an unsecured network and watch a video to get on. And then they get on the plane and it's log in with your Mileage Plus account and now pay for the credit card. And then they get to their hotel where they go through a captive portal and they put in their last name and their room number. And then they go to the coffee shop where they connect to an unsecured network and then they agree to the terms and conditions. Or maybe that's how it works. Or at that coffee shop, they're like searching for a Wi-Fi password and it's on the menu next to the muffins, or it's on the placard, or maybe it's on a sticker back at the door. And eventually maybe they can't even find the Wi-Fi password and they say, screw it. And they just stay on their 5G signal. And then they get to the business office for the client that they're visiting, and they've got a guest network that they have to hop onto. And once again, it's like, crap, what's the Wi-Fi password for your guys' guest network, right? It's this horrible experiences they go through. And what RoamingIQ is trying to solve is to say, what if you could just use your Wi-Fi password in all of those situations, right? So public networks, they have to face this choice of either put a password on it and then deal with how you deliver that password to the user, or they have to leave the networks unsecure without a Wi-Fi password at all, but then that problem goes away. And RoamingIQ kind of sits there and says, we can bridge that gap, right? Secure the network, but let the user use their Wi-Fi password. One of our simplest forms of password delivery in that use case would be to send a text message, so they can send a text that says, free Wi-Fi, and we'll respond back with a Wi-Fi password. But that's a one-time step. Now, in the future, that Wi-Fi password is going to belong to that user, and they're going to be able to use it. If it's a coffee shop, for example, every time they come back, they can use their unique Wi-Fi password. So that's one of the ways that that kind of public network piece of things can happen, right? Now, admittedly, RoamingIQ is not in all of those sites yet, right? But those are the problems, and those are what the users kind of see today. So public networks with a password, without a password, they have their pros and cons. And so I totally understand why some people put a password on it and why some people don't. And Keith mentioned open roaming, which is a whole another topic we can get into as well if we want to. Yeah, so that's my thought. Santa Ray Klein.
There's a little bit of a joke behind the name Santa Ray. We just dropped a collab video with him and Alexis, actually, who's known as ByteDance on Instagram and TikTok. But that was this morning. So if anybody's watching socials, that's where Santa Ray comes from. But Ray, thanks for the question. But yeah, and I'd love to actually jump into the Keith's comment, right, regarding open roaming. But before we do, just to kind of come back to the Alta Labs plus RoamingIQ ecosystem, right? Obviously, RoamingIQ is generally hardware agnostic. Obviously, most of the hardware still has to be onboarded, right, approved by RoamingIQ, so it's not completely. But I'd like to maybe focus a little bit with the time we have left, plus knowing we want to hit Q&A, is why an Alta Labs plus RoamingIQ solution makes sense, right? Is there, Jeff and Tyler, would you mind maybe touch on it, whether it's ease of use or support? Maybe it's the quality of connections or what we've done in the back end. Just help our users understand why maybe some of the measures and steps we've taken to make sure it's a really solid integration and partnership going forward.
Yeah, so I mean I can go first, but yeah, as I described, the installation guide is super straightforward. It's really easy to use. We have Alta Pass exclusive features like the network types, right? And so with other hardware vendors, typically you have to play with the isolation, inter-VLAN blocking, intra-VLAN blocking. There's a lot of settings you have to go to make sure that the clients aren't able to talk to each other and stuff like that. And with Alta Pass, with that single network type feature, that's all you have to do is set it to large or guest or whatever type of network that you're in. That's all you have to do, at least from the Alta Labs side. So super easy and straightforward to set up. And then of course we tout our reliability and stability all over the place. We are very proud of our uptimes and making sure that the signals are strong and the APs stay online.
That's great.
I mean, I'll let Jeff talk about the technical, and I'll talk a little more, I don't know, feelings right here, right? Yeah. So we work with a lot of partners. We work with we have a lot of access point manufacturers and some that we're partnered with, and there is always a really clear difference of the people that are at that company and who you work with, right? Both in just the way they communicate, the type of support that they give, and just, I don't know, I look at it through like the beer test, right? Like, would I sit down and have a beer with this person, right? And I definitely would have a beer with everybody over at Alta Labs. So I know that that's not like a great, technical answer. Here's what the product is, but Jeff covered that one. I'm a big with the product guy. Like I've had a lot of success making sure that we partner with the right people, and I partner with people that are smarter than me, which isn't that hard to do. So that for me has been a big thing of this partnership with Alta Labs, has been just the responsiveness of the team, the willingness to work together as we worked on this integration. There were a couple of pieces that both of us had to do, a couple of debates on exactly how something should work properly. So it's been a great partnership to get off the ground. So for me, like I said, a lot of it's going to be that beer test. And then in addition to that, it's a really competitive space, right? And so we all want to find a really quality access point manufacturer that's cost effective and lets us compete in the market, right? I mean, this is especially with the MDU space, but in other areas too, it's a heavy, bid space. And sometimes you lose a deal over a, quarter per unit per month, right? So you want to make sure you've got a quality product that's also going to be cost effective. So those are my two big things on why I'm really excited for this partnership as well. And then I think we want to also touch on the service credit piece as well, right?
Yeah. You want to touch on that for sure.
So this is something that's really exciting for us. That Alta Labs has taken a look with RoamingIQ, and through our partnership, we have the opportunity here to provide RoamingIQ customers a service credit when they're using Alta Labs equipment with the RoamingIQ solution. So that's something on the cost of our solution that we're able to provide. It's going to depend a little bit on the property and the equipment you deploy, but you should be seeing probably a couple of months of service from us at no cost when you're, using this Alta Labs partnership. So that's also something we're really excited about.
Yeah, agreed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I agree. I 100% on the beer test, right? Though I don't drink beer, I'll be root beer. I will totally sit pony up to the bar with you anytime, Tyler, and Ed, if he's listening, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate the similar visions, similar goals, and just making it really easy to always just work, right? Our customers, last thing they want to deal with, especially if they're deploying, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of network gear. They just need it to work, so they can focus on things like occupancy and building that next project.
Yep.
One of the things that I also wanted to circle back on is from a billing perspective, right? So Tyler, just to be clear, right, whether it's Alta or not, roaming works on is it like a per door basis? Yep. Or so per door, and it's monthly.
Yep.
And then do you guys have like a support package they have to pay for, or is that all included in that monthly per door?
It's all included. So this is also something from a business model back to villain origin story, et cetera, right? We all have purchased equipment that drives us crazy at where you get licensed to death, right? Mm-hmm. Some things need licenses. Okay, that's all well and good, but I'm talking about one I specifically like to rail on was a company I used to work with that the box was capable of 2 power supplies. It came with 1 power supply. If you purchased a second power supply from them, you had to pay an annual license to activate the second power supply.
Nice.
Are you kidding me?
This is not a joke. Many of you on this call you may know the company I'm talking about. They are also a big hardware. They have a very specific piece of hardware that you see in hospitality a lot. So for us, we look at that and we go, everybody hates it. Every service provider hates it. So our solution is very straightforward. It is a monthly subscription fee. It is per door based, per unit based, where that makes sense. Some other use cases like public space, we have a bit different pricing models that are more per user based, right? But per door is the primary model that we have. and that's it. I don't have any extra support fees. I also don't nickel and dime features. And we're very committed to, every feature that we have today. We are not looking at any point to split those off into separate fees, right? There may be things in the future that we have to, just from a cost perspective, but it will be done with extreme caution because of what I've described here of just those pain points, right? So some licenses, like I said, you need to have them. I understand that something it costs more, or a small subset of users want it, so you want to split that off to a different charge. But we're really focused on not doing that.
Yeah, agreed, and great. I love it. It's, again, another reason I feel like we get along so well is we're aligned, common vision, right? Yeah. We don't charge for support, no licensing. You just buy the hardware and you're done.
Yep.
So Tyler, if there's hopefully at least one and hopefully multiple users that want to try RoamingIQ or start talking to you or your sales team, is there a demo program, or what's the best way to get in touch with RoamingIQ?
Yeah, you could certainly reach out to me. I'll put my own email address here in the chat so everybody has it, but it's Nesper. You can see my name on the screen, first initial, last name, @roamingiq.com. So you could reach out to me at tnesper at roamingiq.com. We got a gentleman named Mark who's our VP of sales. So he'll probably run point on kind of getting demos set up, and both in terms of, providing you a demo walkthrough of our user interface. But then, yes, we certainly have demo environments as well, where before we build your own white labeled, your URL, before we build all that, we certainly have an environment where you can get in and test the system and connect up Alta Labs equipment to it and watch you add a user, watch the Wi-Fi password work, depending on your router, watch us reach out and configure the speed policy, and you can kind of see the whole system end to end. We have demo environments that are running against our production servers, totally available. So definitely reach out to me for that.
Okay.
And they just linked our knowledge base as well, which you can get a lot of information from there as well about all the other features of the system and how things work.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Tyler. And again, for those maybe who are joining us for the first time or are interested in this or an Alta Labs RoamingIQ solution, Alta also has some demo programs that are available. We have what we call an not for resale kit, highly discounted, one time per company kind of deal, where you can get your hands on some gear, start playing with interface, get a feel for stability. You reach out to support, and then you can start looking at deploying your first Alta Labs plus RoamingIQ project, which we'd obviously love to help you on. I'm just checking out my notes here really quick. I think we have just about covered it. Before we jump into live Q&A, Tyler, did we miss anything that you wanted to touch on, or are there any things?
I don't think so. We can. I'd love while maybe we wait for other questions to come in, we can hit that open roaming and pass point question real quick.
Yeah, really good point.
And we can talk about that's a question that other people may have. I can spend the whole 5 minutes talking about that. So let's talk about that while other questions come in. I'll try to be quick on it. Yep. Open roaming, pass point, hotspot 2.0, whatever you want to put on it. It's a good solution for a very small use case. So the issues with open roaming and with Passpoint is that it's a certificate-based roaming experience, right? So really simple for networks to have Passpoint configured, but the problem is the devices. I'll give you two examples right here. This is an iPhone from AT&T. It has a Passpoint certificate installed. This is an S24 Ultra that's unlocked. It does not. So this phone's going to roam using open roaming. This phone's not going. Right? I have to install a certificate on here. My phone gives me a bunch of warnings when I go to do that. It's not going to work very well. Your Nintendo Switch isn't going to let you install an open roaming certificate, right? And then in addition to that, if you work for a company with a pretty decent IT security policy, you also can't install certificates on your phone or on your corporate device, right? So we hear data from folks. I heard one recently from a major hospitality brand that said, we've got like 50,000 users connecting, every month. And it's like with open roaming. And it's like, yeah, but you have 100-something million loyalty members. So, and you've had open roaming, you've had Passpoint for 10 years now.
Yeah.
You got 50,000 a month with over 100 million loyalty members. Are we really that proud of that statistic? And they were very proud of it. Each their own, I guess. Right. But So those are some of the problems. So open roaming it's a good solution, Passpoint. It's a good solution for a very limited use case. Ours is PSK based. Everybody knows how to connect to a network with a PSK, and every device can connect to a network with a PSK. So that said, I will also say at some point in the future, I firmly believe we will be an identity provider, a certificate provider for open roaming. So I don't want to totally disparage it, but it's just a different way of solving the problem, but it casts a little bit of a smaller net. So,
I appreciate the thoughts there, Tyler. Jeff, do you have anything you want to add to the open roaming comment?
No, I mean, I totally agree. Obviously, we're huge into open roaming as well. We got the award a month ago on the best open roaming deployment. So we see what's coming, but there's also nothing quite so elegant as a password, nothing quite so intuitive. And yeah, everything works with it. Keith did bring up 6 gigahertz and WPA3, which I've talked a lot about, even on these all calls, a little bit about that as well. We are heavily engaged. We're very active in that community, lobbying, trying to figure out the ultimate solution to that as well. We found the guy, Matty Van Hoff, who broke WPA3 and broke WPA2 with crack and all that. And we said, hey, let's work with him. Let's hire him and let's try to be partners with him to fix this problem. And so he came up with something called decoy auth. I don't know if it's the future, but it could be, right? It's another idea out there that could potentially solve this problem with 6 gigahertz and WPA3 PSK.
Yeah, we've also been really involved with the IEEE on that, and we will have solutions for the initial, but our strong belief, and we've definitely been led to believe pretty heavily, is that the standard itself is gonna take care of the problem, but there's gonna be a lag, right? It's not happening in 2026.
Yeah, it takes
maybe it'll happen in 2027, but it's going to take some time. But they're very aware that there's a problem there, but we at RoamingIQ we have ways to work around that also.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. All right. Well, thank you both for that. Just a friendly reminder, right? If you want to ask any questions of Tyler or Jeff or anything we've covered, please submit those whatever platform you are joining from today. We'll get those answered as soon as we can. We generally like to keep these at an hour, so we're going to run a little long. And we'll also do our giveaway here at the very end. So if you are interested in participating in that giveaway, email your first and last name to social@alta.inc. But let me jump all the way back to the top here of our comments section. Lots of hello. Good to see you. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for your support as always. Stefano, thank you for the recommendation on IIT CES. That is not on our radar, actually, probably because I've never heard of it before, but maybe our sales team has. We'll definitely take a peek at it. Let's see. Let's run through our questions here. Looking forward to, here's VJ. VJ, welcome back. Looking forward to next year. What's the plan for next year, please? I'm assuming he's talking about hardware. Jeff, you want to maybe 30,000 foot view what we've been working on?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a Wi-Fi 7 AP early in the year. We're also looking at potential switches to marry with that solution that can do 10 gig, that can do up to 90 watts of power per port and things like that. So pretty exciting and very hefty power budgets coming our way.
For sure. And point to point, I know that's another common one.
We are looking into that as well, trying to get that into next year.
For sure. Thanks, VJ. And he's a little bit more on Wi-Fi 7. You are the most dependable question I think I've ever seen, VJ. I have to congratulate you there. Wi-Fi 7. I think we've shared most of these. Maybe it's good, Jeff, if we touch them on them.
Yeah, we can review it again. So it'll be 2x2 on both the 2 gig and 6 gig bands. And then it'll be 4x4 for that better range on the 5 gig band. It'll also have a 10 gig PHY single Ethernet port. So you can actually maximize out that with the extremely high rates that Wi-Fi 7 provides, as long as you're close enough.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, VJ. Keith, absolutely. You're welcome on the WLPC shout out. We do appreciate that venue, that show. Tyler, Jeff, would you mind taking maybe just a second and talk a little about what WLPC is in case anybody hasn't heard about it and why they may want to consider attending?
So it's a Wireless LAN Pros conference, and I think of it as just a huge nerd fest, honestly. I mean, it's just great to geek out and talk about really intricate details of Wi-Fi, why stuff, certain things work, why other things don't work, and just kind of get a pulse on how people are using Wi-Fi in the popular ways, and then maybe the not so popular ways. So yeah, it's just a great place to learn and get better at Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tyler, anything you want to add to that?
That's well said.
Well said.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Take it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm assuming, Kobe, this is just a comment based on maybe some of the features that Jeff was touching on regarding Arlo security system. If we want to dive into that a little bit more, we'd love some more details there if that is not addressed.
Yeah, and I'll use this opportunity. I mean, reach out to our free support. They're happy, ready to help you with any issues that you have. So,
yep, absolutely. This is funny. Stefano Mac from McDonald's. That's exactly.
The MAC address stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like we've had a couple more questions start coming at the end for you guys.
Yeah, let's see. Justin, absolutely. We'll definitely reach out. Thanks for being here as always. Also very dependable. We touched on this question already. In case anybody missed it, does Alta Labs also have multi-PSK? Yes, that's called Alta Pass. And I think we did a pretty good job covering that. But there are definitely some really strong uses for why Alta Pass, as well as why or RoamingIQ. Anyways, I think we covered that.
It just depends on your situation and your goals.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, and to follow up, the nice guy wins is a really good point, right? If you are a property owner and you want to monetize that, RoamingIQ makes that very, very easy with that native Stripe integration. So let's see. Lots of comments on the beer test. Just keep going down here. Agreed on the beer test. I think Ray said something about a bourbon test.
Yeah.
Right next to the bourbon test. It's great.
One before the other.
Yeah, that's right.
Do they have root bourbon?
The root bourbon? I don't know. It's a good question. Another question from Stefano. Well, that's a big one. We just cut Tyler's face right off. Sorry, Tyler. We'll be quick.
There you go.
Completely unrelated to today's discussion. Sorry about that. As the U.S. Incenses its security posturing as the United States at federal levels, are there any plans for Alta to attain TAA compliance? Also looks like another barrier is the lack of FIPS certified modules by NIST. Having certified FIPS modules does allow DoD contracted companies to use Alta products, especially since the cloud management piece already sits in FedRAMP AWS. Plans to submit FIPS modules to NIST for certification. Jeff, I can take the TAA if you wouldn't mind taking the FIPS modules.
Sure.
Really quick regarding TAA, right? For those of you who are not familiar with that, there's certain levels of certification. A lot of them are self-proclaimed, right? TAA being one of those, NADAs, and not NADA, NDAAs, another one. And right now, the entire Alta Labs product portfolio is NDAA compliant. What that means is there is a list of manufacturers and raw goods components that are restricted, cannot be in any of our supply chain, any of our products. The United States government does publish that list and updates that, and we are 100% compliant there. Taking that a step further, TAA compliance is very similar to that, but also adds a layer of requirements as far as where you manufacture. Generally, TAA compliance requires you to manufacture in Taiwan or the United States. And Vietnam, for example, China, Malaysia, Philippines, they are generally not TAA compliant. So as far as Alta Labs is concerned, we manufacture most of our product in Vietnam, so that does not allow us to be TAA compliant yet. We do, however, have two products that are manufactured in Taiwan. That is our 48-port switch as well as our S12 aggregation switch. Those are both manufactured in Taiwan, which then allows us to apply a TAA certification to those. So those are in the channel shipping TAA compliant now. As far as future plans to open that up to the rest of our product portfolio, Stefano, it's definitely something that we are looking at. We know that we miss out on a lot of those big government projects. And so trying to figure out the best way our supply chain can support that, while also making sure that we are hitting the price points that we've been able to maintain. So certainly more to come there. But Jeff, if you want to take the FIPS modules and so on?
Yeah. So I mean, we obviously don't target FIPS right now or anything like that. We focus on the general, more the larger market right now. Anything that requires FIPS is obviously going to be more niche, and I won't say that we won't do something like that later on, but it usually comes with a much higher cost. But then obviously higher security. We obviously do focus on security heavily at Alta Labs. You never get the broken lock or anything like that. So there are a lot of things that we do focus on that other vendors don't. But the FIPS security thing isn't a priority quite yet.
Wonderful. Thanks for the question, Stefano, and thanks, Jeff, for the answer. Another question for Mifonito. Are you considering as well to release some switches with 2.5 gig ports? Absolutely. Our 48 port switch already has 16 2.5 gig ports, and that's shipping now. And then what we will be coming out with next year will be a minimum of 2.5. I'll say that. And more.
Yep.
Let's see. A question from Hank Kobe with Wi-Fi 7 getting 10 gig ports. Will you have switches for this as well? Also, most ISPs have up to 10 gig copper handoffs. Will you add a 10 gig copper port for the next Route 10?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten into the design of that quite yet, but like a future Route 10, but probably. I can't say with certainty at all. But it would make sense to have a copper RJ45 port on the next one.
For sure. Yeah, and if you want to shortcut that now, right, Route 10 completely supports that. You just need a 10 gig SFP module that you can slide into the WAN 2 port.
Yeah.
Let's see. Question from Kobe. I have a quick question. Last week, I had an update come from Route 10 and my SP8 switch, so S8 port switch. Not long after the notification, they both went down and it caused my network to go down before I could update. Yeah,
definitely not expected. Not something we see in our testing as we roll out firmware updates. So if this happens, I mean, I've seen people post on the forum. You can reach out to support. We definitely want to figure out the root cause, but like I said, it's not common from what we've seen.
Okay. Yeah, and then Kobe, I see another question where support didn't see anything too. So we can follow up with our support team on that and find out maybe a little bit more, see if we can dive in a little further. Felix coming out of Canada, great to see you as well. Another regular, nice specs for the AP7, worth the time. Do you have a range or idea of price? And will that affect the AP6 pricing? I would say, yeah, we do have a general idea. We're going to be in the low 200s. We're still finalizing a couple of things there, and right now, our AP6 and AP6 Pro pricing will not change. Justin, thank you for the question here. That's a good way or good thing to plug right now. So as far as getting a hold of our support team, you can call our main number 435-773-4702 option 2. You can also email support@alta.inc. You can also chat by going to help.alta.inc. And you also engage in our community forum, right? And all those 4 ways are really good ways to get a hold of our support team. Tyler, out of curiosity, from RoamingIQ perspective, I assume similar, right? Phone number, email?
Yeah, similar. Emails are primary because being a software solution, typically if you're having an issue, I probably need to have a software engineer or developer look at it, and they don't make the best phone answers. So we do have a support phone number available as well, but they mostly will triage you into somebody else. So email support's our primary method. Phone is available, but they'll mostly just raise an engineer to call you back. They'll wake them up in the middle of the night if you're having an issue like that.
Cool.
So
awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Justin, for the question. Santa Ray says you fit in here really well there, Tyler. So good. Kudos to you. Thanks, Santa, for the for the blessing there. Let's see. That's another question from Andrew. Apologies if this has already come up. Is there a backup restore configuration option? Thinking of a case where a switch fails, how quickly to restore a configuration to it without going port by port?
Yeah, I mean, so we don't support a backup and restore of individual devices quite yet. That's come up a few times, so it's definitely on our roadmap. You can back up an entire site and restore if you want to. If you really need help, I mean, this is something else that you can reach out to support, and we can help you migrate a switch. If the MAC address stays the same, though, like let's say it's just a intermittent thing, you can restore the configuration to the device that has the same MAC address without having to change anything. And then, of course, I mean, I always am trying to say people should use colors, which is basically port profiles, right? That's definitely by far the easiest way to scalably configure a lot of ports on a lot of switches.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew, for the question. Jeff, thank you for the answer. Really quick before we touch on the last question comment, if you have any questions for Tyler or Jeff, please submit them into whatever platform you're in. We're just about ready to wrap up here, so we'd like to say last call for any questions. Also, if you did not get a chance to enter our giveaway, email your first and last name to social@alta.inc, and then Landon will be getting that ready for us to go ahead and give away the 16-port switch, the t-shirt, and the hat. The last comment that I can see so far, unless I've missed any, is Hank, I like the Route 10, but it gets hot with an SFP copper module. I would say, Hank, let's look at the power consumption you have on your SFP module. If it's a 2-watt module, they do generate a little bit of heat. Definitely don't disagree there, but there are definitely some lower power 10 gig modules that you can use that will allow the Route 10 to not get as hot as probably you're seeing. Jeff, do you want to add anything to that?
I mean, unfortunately, most of the cheaper modules out there are 2.5 watts, and we recommend under 2 watts, especially if you're putting 2 of these into the Route 10. That's really the only way to do it that we would qualify as supported. So, yeah, I mean, there are lower power modules out there. You'll just have to pay a little bit more to have it cooler.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Thanks, Jeff. I think that does it for all of our questions. Landon, do you want to, we've got a couple funny questions. Wise guys, Todd. He thinks in minifans, and then we got water cooling. I love it. Thanks, guys. I'll go ahead and get the link pulled up here from Landon, and we will go ahead and do our giveaway here. Let me see if we get that ready. Landon, if you want to share that in one of our chats, that would be great. Here she comes. So we're going to go ahead and start with, we'll start with the hat first and then a t-shirt. Man, I love our marketing guys. We got a bunch of jokers hanging out over here too. Let's see here. You guys are all going to get a chuckle out of this one. Round and round, Jeff and I go here right in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go. So first thing we're going to do is a hat. Next thing we'll do is a shirt. Next, and finally, a 16-port switch, and then we'll go ahead and sign off. So here we go. First winner is, looks like it's Russ Long. Congratulations, Russ, on the hat. Landon will reach out and get that off to you ASAP. Next one, we'll go ahead and give the shirt away. I feel like we've classed the spinner up too. It's all on brand. It's colored. We got our own pictures in here. Oh, right at the very end, Michael for the shirt. All right, next we will give away the 16-port switch. Let's see who the big lucky winner will be today. I was going to bump into Chaz Kuhn. Well, congratulations, Chaz. We'll go ahead and get that.
Tough go for Steve.
Right away. I love it. All right. Well, that's it for today's live stream. Tyler, thank you again for being here with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for having me, and thanks everybody for listening to me ramble. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I did not realize how big of an outdoor guy you were. I mean, I had a little bit of an idea, but ice picks, climbing waterfalls and frozen mountains, that's pretty cool.
Serious.
I'll have to get some more stories later on that front. But before we sign off, Tyler, anything else? How to contact you guys? You want us just to keep focus there, all the traffic to you directly, Tyler?
Yeah. I mean, I'll make the intros to whoever else is relevant. I'll play that inquiry triage. But looking forward to it. Please reach out if you have any questions. You want a demo, or you want to talk about climbing mountains. I don't care. Reach out to me.
That's
talk
awesome.
About it.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Jeff, before we sign off, anything else from your side?
Yeah, I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Stay safe during the holidays. And I love working with everybody here.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, everybody, for your time joining our 15th Alta Labs live event here right before the holidays. We've got already a great roster of additional guests as we go into next year. But I would like to add my thank you to you for being here, and a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, no matter where you are, how you celebrate. We appreciate the partnership and the loyalty to Alta Labs, and we look forward to seeing you on the next event. Until then, have a good one.
Thanks all.